My identity is secondary to the obsession that drove this whole affair. My unyielding devotion to the San Francisco 49ers. It was more than fandom. It was a deeply personal anchor in the shifting currents of corporate ambition. I was an associate at Stratagem Dynamics, a consultancy housed in a mirrored tower that reflected back only the cold ambition of those within. I excelled not through sheer genius, but through authenticity, a quality I had weaponized. My professional shield and my most valuable asset was the Synergy Global account, representing nearly a fifth of my department's revenue. My executive contact there was David Vance, a COO who valued measurable results and, crucially, loyalty. David and I shared a bond forged not just in contracts, but in our mutual, quasi-religious zeal for the Niners. The architect of my future misery was the partner in charge of our department, Richard Dorn, whom I mentally branded Dickhead Partner, DP. DP was a partner solely due to years of political endurance, specializing in delegating risk downward and credit upward, straight into his own bonus pool. The genesis of my contempt lay in Project Chimera, a grueling 18-month digital transformation project I had essentially managed solo. DP showed up for the final presentation, delivered 3 vague, high-level platitudes, and proceeded to accept the Consultant of the Year award from the client, never once acknowledging my existence. He wasn't just arrogant, he was a thief of professional lifeblood, a minor felony that laid the emotional groundwork for the massive professional destruction to come. As the Super Bowl approached, DP's behavior shifted from simple arrogance to acute, visible desperation. He wasn't merely stealing, he was scrambling. My strategic weapon, deployed long before the tickets were stolen, was Michael Chen, an overworked, brilliant analyst in DP's own reporting line, who was also a victim of the partner's credit theft cycle. Over a series of clandestine meetings, Michael delivered the first damning revelation. He's not just broke, OP. He's leveraging his partnership status to avoid bankruptcy. He's tied up in something called Aurora Holdings, a private, high-interest bridge loan. This knowledge was key. DP's arrogance was a facade masking massive, hidden debt. The Super Bowl news hit the firm like a shockwave, but the private dinner with David Vance was the true shock. You're the only reason Synergy Global hasn't fired Stratagem Dynamics, David stated, offering me 2 prime, 30-yard line, lower bowl seats, a personal thank you. The value was secondary to the honor. However, David explained the inevitable compliance hurdle. The physical tickets must be routed through the partner in charge, Richard, for asset logging. It's procedural, but the intent is recorded internally. I watched David hand the high-value envelope, sealed with Synergy Global's executive seal, directly to DP in the lobby. DP's eyes, usually dull with self-importance, lit up with a sudden predatory calculation. I immediately felt the cold dread of knowing what was about to happen, and filed an immediate confidential email to David's personal address, confirming receipt of SB tickets by DP, 1945 Eastern Standard Time. Intended recipient, OP. This single, time-stamped email would later be the final piece of the legal noose. The tickets never materialized. DP's dismissals were a masterpiece of gaslighting. Super Bowl? Oh, some client mix-up, OP. Probably got lost in the mail. Focus on the Q1 deliverables. I watched the game alone, the crushing loss of the game amplified by the bitter loss of the tickets. The loss sharpened my focus. My immediate investigation confirmed the worst. Sarah, DP's assistant, provided the critical data, the FedEx tracking number, addressed not to me, but to Jason Rourke, CEO of Omnicorp, a dead-end logistics client DP was trying to salvage. The theft was now quantified, a $10,000 gift used as DP's personal political currency. 3 weeks later, the confrontation with David Vance confirmed my darkest suspicions. David confirmed the ticket's strict non-transfer policy and stated, "Richard Thorne has violated the foundation of our trust, OP. This is now a firm-wide ethical liability for Stratagem Dynamics. Give me the dirt, and I'll give you the execution." Michael's deep dive provided the terrifying truth. DP's Aurora Holdings debt wasn't $500,000. It was a staggering $1.5 million bridge loan tied to a collapsing commercial real estate venture. The lender was Atlas Financial Group, and Jason Rourke, the Omnicorp CEO who received the tickets, was a strategic board member of Atlas Financial. The Super Bowl tickets were not just a bribe. They were an emergency offering designed to secure a 2-week forbearance on a 7-figure margin call. David and I immediately established an unholy alliance, referring to DP only as Subject Sigma and the tickets as Asset 138, communicating solely through encrypted messaging. David wanted the exposure to be public, humiliating, and completely untraceable back to me. We needed witnesses and an enforcer, which David provided in Stephanie Carter, a former VP of Risk Management. Her commitment was absolute once she understood the stakes. This is not about tickets, OP. This is about a partner using the firm's assets to leverage a personal $1.5 million debt. We finalized the script for the boardroom ambush, rehearsing the triple trap sequence. As Michael gathered the final, irrefutable data, DP became paranoid, launching an internal audit against me. I countered by contacting my former Project Chimera supervisor, Agent Delta, a director in the finance department, who immediately created a counter dossier documenting DP's own expense fraud. The final piece, the tacit approval of MP Robert, was secured after David used the Atlas Financial debt figures to prove DP was an existential risk to the firm's integrity. MP Robert gave the cold authorization. Proceed, David. Richard Thorne has signed his own execution order. The cross-country flight to Synergy Global's headquarters was fraught with tension. DP, blind with hubris, spent the flight loudly boasting about his indispensability. I knew the stakes were house, marriage, and financial survival for him. The attack was initiated casually in the conference room. David began, "Dickhead partner, great to have you." Before we start, I want to thank Stephanie Carter, our VP of Compliance and OP. OP, you must already know Stephanie from the Super Bowl. DP froze. Stephanie played her part perfectly, feigning confusion, and I delivered the denial with practiced, professional bewilderment. Sorry, David, I wasn't there. Are you sure you're thinking of the right person? DP stammered the official lie. It was a mix-up. OP, you must have forgotten. Stephanie delivered the hammer blow. Mr. Thorne, our logs indicate the seats were transferred to Jason Rourke of Omnicore. That transfer was flagged as an unauthorized asset movement. Can you clarify why a non-core client received a gift intended for your associate, an action that potentially violates Synergy Global's internal ethics policy regarding leveraged business transactions? David's voice was lethal. Richard, are you using Synergy Global's gesture of gratitude as currency for your personal $1.5 million debt crisis with Atlas Financial? The specific mention of the debt was the final psychological collapse. DP slumped, whispering the final corporate surrender. I think there was a clerical error. As DP was escorted out by Synergy Security, his primal desperation took over. Outside the gates, he broke away and sprinted toward me. You little snake, you set me up. This is all your fault," he hissed, grabbing my arm in a brutal vice grip. I reacted instantly, years of martial arts training kicking in. I executed a sharp, low-key wrist release and stepped back, maintaining distance while keeping my voice controlled. "Richard, release me. Your attempt to interfere with a high-level compliance investigation is being recorded. This is not my doing. This is the consequence of your choices." He lunged and I sidestepped, letting his momentum carry him into the metal railing before security swarmed and restrained him. The physical confrontation sealed the deal. That evening, the partners, terrified of a public scandal, voted 8-1 to force DP to sign a legally binding repayment agreement, a financial hammer that shattered his fragile solvency. DP was financially neutered and professionally shamed, but still technically a partner. His retaliation was immediate and brutal. I was assigned to the project penalty box, renamed the OP Survival Initiative, a year-long plan to erode my reputation. The main assignment was Project Chimera 2, a legacy project already 90% over budget. "Fail this," DP sneered, "and your termination is for incompetence, not whistleblowing." My year in the penalty box was a constant war of attrition, with DP engaging in client sabotage and internal smear campaigns. I countered by over-documenting every decision, having every communication signed off by Michael, and using Agent Delta to intercept and neutralize the hostile audit DP tried to weaponize. I didn't just survive the penalty box. I stabilized Chimera 2 and used my success, along with David Vance's irrefutable client recommendation, to secure a senior manager role at a competing, prestigious Tier 1 firm. My departure months later was quiet, leaving DP isolated and powerless. My exit was the catalyst for DP's final desperate act. Synergy Global terminated its contract, citing systemic ethical misalignment tied to Richard Thorne. Now facing total financial ruin from the Atlas financial margin calls, DP attempted his final catastrophic fraud, selling a non-existent commercial property asset through an offshore shell company. Michael, still in place, intercepted the final transfer documents, noticing the clear legal inconsistencies. This wasn't just corporate fraud, it was potentially criminal. Michael forwarded the documents to me, and I sent them anonymously to MP Robert's personal email. MP Robert, realizing DP was a criminal threat that could destroy the entire firm, brought in external legal counsel. The verdict was immediate, final, and public. Richard Thorne was terminated for gross misconduct and fraudulent activity. No early retirement, no severance. I had won the championship, but the triumph felt strangely hollow. The zealotry that drove me vanished the moment Richard Thorne's official termination email landed in my inbox. My new employer, Vanguard Consulting, respected me not as a hero, but as a killer who understood how to exploit structural weakness. 3 months into my new life, the damage I inflicted became seismic. The Atlas financial scandal led to a federal securities inquiry. My old firm, Stratagem Dynamics, was hunting the mole, Michael Chen. My victory was now endangering the one person who had risked everything for me. The moral equation had instantly reversed. Vanguard's CEO, Vivian Lowe, smelling blood, demanded I leverage the fear I created to poach Stratagem's $20 million lighthouse account. I had to choose between my integrity, refusing to exploit privileged insider knowledge, and my advancement, delivering the client. I refused the direct order, but immediately prioritized Michael. I had to create so much noise that the investigation's signal became useless. I enacted the reverse leak strategy with Agent Delta, remotely uploading fictitious encrypted financial models to a hidden folder, triggering a suspicious file transfer alert. The goal was to make Ilara Voss, the internal investigator, chase a ghost partner in a data maze, buying Michael the 90 days he needed. The reverse leak worked perfectly. Voss's team wasted time tracking the fictitious data breach. My final crucial maneuver was shifting public focus away from the internal leak hunt and back onto the true criminal. I coordinated with David Vance to anonymously leak the non-confidential parts of the DP Atlas dossier to the media. The resulting firestorm shifted the narrative from Stratagem hunts a whistleblower to Stratagem exposed as a den of criminal debt and partner fraud. Voss's internal investigation became irrelevant. Michael secured a new analyst role in Seattle. My commitment to him was fulfilled. I watched Stratagem Dynamics dissolve 6 months later. I had won. I was successful. But the win felt heavy. I realized the ultimate lesson was not about justice delivered, but about the corrosive nature of the weapon itself. The first moral lesson was that integrity is the ultimate weapon against arrogance. But the second, deeper lesson, the one etched into my soul after all of this, was that once you employ the tactics of strategic destruction, the line between the architect of consequence and the agent of manipulation becomes dangerously thin. I won the championship, but I lost the innocence that made the initial fight worthwhile. The true cost of winning is the permanent loss of the ethical clarity that defined the original fight.